Hello. Hola.
What's going on, Ruben? What's up? All right, when you're not talking, I'm gonna need you to mute. All right, when you're not talking, I'm gonna need you to mute. All right, when you're not talking, I'm gonna need you to mute.
So what's up? Yeah,
Well, sorry, I was busy on my phone. What's going on?
not a whole lot. Yeah, I got 3 days off because my birthday's this weekend, so the company gives us a birthday day bullshit.
Awesome.
I have no idea what I'm gonna do though, because I think it's supposed to rain, which means I won't be cruising on a motorcycle. So whatever.
Oh, that sucks.
But I guess it beats work.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm on this dating site. I forgot my password.
What's up?
Oh, sorry, I was busy on my phone. What's going on?
Got feedback going there.
Oh, was that for me? Oh, sorry, that was for me.
Oh, can't tell.
No, that was for me. Yeah, no, that was for me. Sorry. I'm just mentally drained, really, and physically too. Oh shit! I had like a nasty ass fall. Luckily, I fell on my side of the butt, like on the big ass muscle. Luckily, the muscle took most of the impact, so no permanent damage. It's just gonna be some swelling, I guess. Ah, shit.
That's just like when I dropped motorcycles a couple weeks ago. I was like doing under 10 miles an hour when I hit the ground, so it was trivial. I mean, I got one little thing on my elbow that's gonna heal up the next couple weeks, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
Although the next morning I felt kind of sore.
Yeah. I mean, I feel sore already, but that's instinct. You wanna shield yourself. So
Yeah.
my elbow feels about the same way. All I can imagine with a motorcycle, it's a bit more dramatic.
Well, I mean, it bent $100 handlebar. I straightened it and it's drivable, but I don't trust metal once you've bent it and bent it back straight.
Mm-hmm.
So I just ordered. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. In the case of things like motorcycles or even bicycles, as long as you miss the telephone pole, you're okay. Uh, that's when you really pay the price.
For sure. Yeah, I'm just mainly conditioning my body to withstand like high impact. What is it called? High impact running. Like
Uh,
so, I found a couple of hills I can do it on. Now, sadly, I live in Belgium. Now, if you know anything about Belgium, Belgium is actually pretty low on sea level. It's like the lower lands. So, I mean, if you
like
go down more, you'll go to Holland. Holland is even lower than Belgium, like in terms of the sea level.
it's like on a lower plateau type thing.
Yeah. So as you go to the coast, so Belgium is near a coast. It's very low to the sea level.
Yeah.
It's about. Hold on. Let me check how many miles. Um, Check. Mhm. It's about 91 feet above sea level.
Yeah,
Yes.
see, where I'm at, we're about 750 or 800 feet above, which means I got to travel a little over 150 miles to get to the coast.
See, I envy you because if I were to train where you are, I would get way more endurance. Like my endurance would increase way more.
Yeah, the thing, yeah, in fact, I bicycled this area. There's some flat areas right close to the house where I'm at,
Mhm.
but you can bicycle about a mile away and you start hitting hills.
Mhm.
I mean, basically, I'm in the hill country area of Texas, which is a pretty broad band of,
Mhm. Mhm.
they're not really mountains, but they're definitely steep, you know. And I used to bicycle out them when I was younger. I'm too old now for that now.
Mhm.
But, but even just for the scenery, going driving a motorcycle, or some people go travel in car or whatever. It's more fun on a motorcycle, but just going through the hill country on little back roads
Mhm.
is just it just it's just interesting just to go cruising around.
There's nothing like it, I think. Um, yeah, there's nothing like it. Oh, oh shit. Yeah, motorcycle. My main thing is I'm afraid to drive a motorcycle. Is I mean, I view it like a death trap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you have similar concerns. A lot of people don't realize also, just like riding a bicycle, your concerns are about the same, except that the speed you're going on a bicycle, generally you can survive if you fall.
Yes.
It's a different thing if you impact something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and only a motorcycle, you're doing it at a higher speed and everything. And just like when I was younger, riding bicycle a lot, you pretty much got to assume nobody sees you. You know, they're going to pull out in front of you, stuff like that. The same thing on a motorcycle with just going higher speeds, so the impacts are a little worse.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And the thing is, there are people just like you know, people's people's choices also depends on where you are in the world. There are areas where I won't drive a motorcycle. I mean, of course, I don't generally go there, but like Houston, Texas, has grown so much, and the traffic is so crazy there that I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't drive a motorcycle there.
Yeah, it's irresponsible sometimes.
Yeah,
Like the thing is, I mean, it doesn't only depend on you being a competent driver. Like a lot of times, because you're going so fast, the reaction time another person has to, like let's say another person that's not paying attention, it's dramatically decreased. And so, I mean, once they hit you, I mean, you're flying off that thing.
yeah.
So,
I mean, even if someone like changes lanes and taps you from the side,
mhm,
and you don't get out of the way fast enough, um, chances are you're going down. I mean, it's really hard to keep that bike on two wheels.
mhm, mhm,
I actually had an old lady years ago. I was going down a highway, two lanes going one way, um, and I was in the fast lane, and she's coming along in the slow lane, and I could reach out and knock on her window if I wanted to. Her face was right there, right even with me.
mhm,
She started to change lanes, and then after she's about a foot in my lane, she turned on her blinker. Then she looked at me. Of course,
mhm,
it all happens really quick. By then, as soon as I notice her doing that, I go to the very outside edge of the lane. So if I have to brake or speed up to avoid her, but she was like really shocked that somebody was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, so whenever I never drive parallel to another vehicle like
Mm-hmm.
that. And if I'm going to pass someone, I make sure I pass them by a dramatic amount, so there's no excuse for not seeing me.
Mm-hmm.
But there are still people, especially nowadays, playing with their cell phones and texting and whatever, doing crap you shouldn't be doing when you're driving too much. They'd be cruising down a highway at 80 miles an hour and they don't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
So you've always got to assume nobody sees you.
Oh yeah.
Same thing for a bicycle too, because you know the numbers of bicyclists in America that die just from idiots pulling out in front of them, pretty high.
No, for sure. But a lot of times you also have bicyclists who are driving like they always have the right of way. Like even if you do have the right of way, you have to watch out. Like not everyone is gonna see you. So
Yeah,
that's so like even if you can, it's irresponsible uh, to do it. So I mean, it's
just like
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure what it's like in every state, but like in Texas, if you go riding a bicycle, you have to go the same direction as traffic. But if you're walking down the road, you're supposed to walk on the opposite side where you're walking towards traffic. Um, I assume that's so that if you're walking, you can see someone, see the drunk as he goes off the road and get out of his way. But bicycle, because you're traveling faster, they want you to go the same direction as traffic. And a lot of people don't know it, but a bicyclist has the same legal right to a full width of a lane as a car. And people don't understand that. The reason is so you don't squeeze them off the road and cause a problem. But most people don't know that, and they end up cussing out the bicyclist, not realizing he's taking a whole lane to try to be safe, so you don't try to squeeze in between him and a telephone pole or whatever. Um, Same thing for motorcycles. The general rules of motorcycles, they're different, but still, um, you know, people have issues with that too. I've had people ask me, why do you take up the whole parking space with your motorcycle? Well, because I don't want someone like you to run into my motorcycle. So I park at an angle where it blocks the whole thing because I have a legal right to it, just like you.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Son of a bitch.
Somebody told me something happened in North Carolina today, but or
Mm-hmm.
sometime, I don't know what happened. I didn't even look it up.
Well, there's a whole lot of shit going down right now. So there's again police shootings of black people, and the story right now is that a guy was uh, a guy was brandishing a weapon, according to the police. Like this black guy was brandishing a weapon, and he was told to drop the weapon.
Yeah,
He didn't drop the weapon, and then the police shot him. Now this is the police records.
yeah,
So when they asked when the family then actually came to the news and said that it's actually false. He had a book on him, not a gun, and they just shot him uh, in cold blood because I don't know, racism, whatever. And so now what's happening is they don't want to release the video clip of whatever yeah, the shooting, whatever. They don't want to release it. So I mean, that's where we're at right now, and there are crazy riots going on. I think it's day 2 of the riots, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody at work just told me, because I don't even have cable TV. Basically, if something radical happens, I'll hear about it and then I'll research it.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of the way I do it, because news isn't news anymore. It's hype. So I don't want to hear most of the hype. So
Yeah. So I mean, it's shit's popping off.
and the thing about it is I don't like when people point out, and they always do, but I don't like when they point out the race issue. It's simply a human issue, and I think it should be attacked from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
In order, I mean, you have in a lot of cases you have disadvantaged people regardless of reason. I don't care if it's from race or if their religion isn't accepted by the local community, or I don't care what, but that part of it I don't care about. What I care about is when someone is unjustifiably treated, arrested, or anything like that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the other aspects that get into it sometimes, like race, make it it puts the attention on the wrong spot. I think. Um, it's not to say that there aren't people that would do that, but it's that you know, it's kind of like the intent of the Constitution is that no matter who you are, we're going to treat you as equals. Um, and the same thing goes across all lines, no matter what. You know. It's kind of like just because one guy's 6'4" and 240 pounds and spends all the time lifting weights, it doesn't mean just because he's physically capable, he would be more physically capable than I, but that doesn't mean his rights are any greater. That's kind of what the point of the law is.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Although it is ironic, next week my company that I work for here in Texas, they have a corporate office in North Carolina and a corporate office in New York. I was supposed they want everyone who has my position across the country. They want us to all go to this event in North Carolina. It's kind of ironic that this thing, you know, breaks out like this. But of course, I always tell them no anyway. I don't leave. I'm not going to North Carolina. It's optional anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, my reasoning is all my family's here, and we have my brother has custodianship of a special needs child, and he depends on the rest of us being around to help whenever he calls us, kind of thing. And for that reason, I don't leave state.
Right.
I'm not sure me and North Carolina would get along anyway, though.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just so tapped out right now. Just kind of in a, when you're like in that post workout mode, like you're just kind of hazy, and you're kind of there, you're kind of not there.
Yeah.
It's where I am right now.
One thing I did notice over the years is that if you do a lot of intellectual work, like working on computers, where you're not doing a lot of physical work, but you're mentally exhausted, you don't sleep as well than if you're physically exhausted.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. Jogging and things like that have actually been linked to, better sleeping, stimulating your sleeping, stimulating your mental health. Actually, so you think more efficiently and better. Uh, like all those things, and it also combats depression. So, I mean, recent article I read that said that actually, you may already know this, but humans actually evolved to run. So we all evolved to run, and how? So I mean, we're not. I mean, if you look at us, we're not the fastest runners on Earth. We're actually probably one of the slower ones. We're probably one of the slowest ones. Like if you take a cheetah, cheetah runs like 100 kilometers an hour. That's like insane, like the speeds it gets.
I
But
think that the top speed I've ever heard was like 70 miles an hour, something like right around there. Pretty freaking quick.
right, but the thing with the cheetah, for example, is it can only do that for so long. Maybe 2 miles or something like that. It can't go much more than that. So it has to then wait for a while to cool down.
Yeah.
But the thing with humans is that although we are slow, we can keep this up forever. We can just keep going. We can keep going and going and going as long as we have glucose. So glucose is carbs,
Yep.
candies, fats, whatever. It can be in
Yeah.
it. But as long as you keep that shit in, like you can just keep on going forever. And so what this means is that our ancestors, what they did is that they didn't use brute force. What they did is they kept aggravating the animals they were hunting. Let's say a mammoth.
Yeah.
They kept chasing it until the mammoth was completely exhausted. And so once it was exhausted, they would go and kill it. That's
Yeah.
how
It
they
was.
hunted.
It was more a matter of our endurance for it. Our endurance, and slowly developed along with that, was to figure out how to use a tool, how to, not even necessarily make a tool, but how to use a tree branch as a tool,
Yeah.
things like that. The combination of things made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, basically smarts and numbers. And I mean, if you
Yeah.
provoke the animal long enough and you make it like life hell for it, it's eventually it'll keep running and running till it exhausts itself. And that's why actually physically we are built to run. Physically,
Yeah.
like everything about us is built to run. And I'm not saying marathon, I'm saying just running, just like let's
But
even at a slow pace.
yeah, I mean, even if you just kind of, even just generally walking, what we can accomplish in a day is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Um, and 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 if you're just sort of like at a just slightly over walking, just just enough to
Mhm.
where you're barely running, where your feet are actually leaving the ground, type thing.
Mhm.
You know, like that type, just slow running. We can keep that up for a really long time.
Oh no, definitely. But
Yeah, it's
fascinating
just
thing is, as you train more, you actually your body actually adapts to those faster speeds. So eventually, you'll be able to go at a fast pace. You will be able to do it.
yeah,
It just takes about the break-in time is 3 months, I think. Yeah, 3 months, and your body your heart becomes stronger, your lungs become bigger, new blood cell, new blood vessels develop. What is it? Vessels, like the ones that transport the blood. new ones develop, and your body becomes way more efficient, and you'll notice that it's like you're gonna be like, okay, this is pretty easy. I don't know why it was that hard the first time.
Yeah.
So I mean, at any age, mind you, and actually another thing, as your cartilage degrade as you're running, they saw in people who do like insane distances, like I think it was 2,000 kilometers at the minimum. It's like run across Europe, an insane distance, vast countries. You know, you pass several. Anyway, so what that was shown is that after a while they're degrading. So, but halfway through it, uh, slowly what the scientists saw, each time they took like an MRI, like at each whatever next pit stop or whatever, they saw that actually the cartilages were slowly beginning to repair, even though they were still running. They were like not resting, you know. Well, of course they were resting, but you know, you have to sit and drink and sleep. I mean, those are essential things, but you would not take a day off, you know. So, but as you run, your cartilages and everything would actually repair. So that's a fascinating thing now.
There's some other weird things. Is that the when they did it's probably been a decade ago. They did experiments on mainly elderly women who suffer from osteoporosis, whatever, you know, the degrading of the bone density, and they found that if they just did fairly simplistic exercises an hour a day, the stress put on the bones makes the bones, it indicates to the bones they need to grow thicker, basically. You know what I mean? Your body senses the stress on them and it thickens their bone. The bones will thicken themselves up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's actually very true.
Yeah. There are certain inherited traits that are limited on some of this stuff, but they're not. So a percentage of population won't meet the conditions, but it's a fairly low number.
I saw the one clip of Kenyans. So Kenyans are some of the fastest runners in the world. Like they are actually the people who have like the fastest speeds. Um, and so what the thing was, what they found was actually they're in mountainous regions, like I told you, like they are in very high elevations.
Yeah.
Plus, all they do is run all the freaking day. Like they run to school. So when they run to school, it's about 4 kilometers, I think. Yeah, 4 kilometers to school running, and then another 4 kilometers back. Well, I don't know what that in miles is. Miles. That's 2.5 miles, 4 kilometers.
Yeah.
School, and then another, so 5 miles in total.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, the thing is also it does make a difference. Like the factor of heredity is kind of like
I think it's small though.
If,
I don't think it's a big factor. Genetics.
There are well, there are some that are extreme cases, but generally there's.
Yeah.
But if you're, I mean, well, among other things, most of us are mixed breed, so you know it's not what it looks like exactly. But if you take a small local community that goes without modern transportation, and is dependent on themselves, you know, for up to this point. I mean, where they haven't gotten into a lot of modern transportation, they will not have the problems caused by modern transportation.
Right.
The fact it's kind of like it's rare to see anybody around here in the area where I live walking somewhere unless they're specifically going somewhere. You know, they're poor and they're walking to the store, kind of thing. That type. People don't just walk around and socialize like they used to. Instead, they drive the car or something or whatever to a location where they socialize. So it's a lot different.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, see, this is the this is the thing that people really have to avoid, like genetics. I mean, I don't deny that genetics plays a role, of course. I mean, but it's a very small role. I mean, of course, that you're never going to be able to close that gap, however small that is. But we're not
Yeah.
talking about that much of a difference. But anyway, but the main thing is actually the way you live, what you eat, and your surrounding areas. Actually, those are the much more the things that actually count way more, like way more. But of course, it is dependent on a lot of factors. I mean, if you were, let's say, you were starting to train right now, like in 3 months, you would be much fitter than I am, simply because of the elevation. Just because of the elevation, you would get much better results than me because you would be under way more pressure than me. But yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I could see where that would work that way, but the the difference would be because I was thinking like if you're closer to sea level, you're under higher pressure, therefore higher oxygen content. But if you haven't, but if you work out in higher elevation and move to lower elevation, you'll be really well off because you'll have had to have accounted for the difference in elevation.
Well, it's because of the it's because of the lower oxygen levels in higher elevations,
Yeah.
where your body is forced to be even more efficient with oxygen, and that's actually the main difference.
Yeah.
So once actually, if you whenever then you come down to, my elevation, you would just the runs for you, like even the very fast runs would just feel like a breeze for you. You wouldn't even like
Yeah.
struggle. Like you would say, whoa, I'm getting all this oxygen, whoa, this feels great. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that would actually be the result.
Well, unless I keep on smoking.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I quit smoking for like 4 years using electronic cigarette type stuff, and within the last year, I've gradually started smoking a pipe because I actually enjoy smoking. So I, like get up in the morning and drink coffee and smoke a pipe kind of thing, but I've just kept on going where I'm smoking all over again.
That's the trap you need to avoid.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I was lucky. I started very young when I smoked. So I was at 13, and I smoked about almost a year till my 14th. And then one day I came out of the apartment, and there were steps leading down, like when you come out. And what I did is I threw my lighter down the steps, and the lighter exploded. And then I threw the pack of Marlboros I had on the ground, and I just stepped on it.
Yeah.
Like, and ever since then, I have never touched a cigarette again. It's
Yeah. The thing is, the longer you smoke, especially like if you exceed a decade or so,
mhm.
your body is so used to it, and well, there's a couple of things. It's not just the nicotine; it's the fact like cigarettes have different chemistry to them than pipe tobacco or cigar tobacco. They're all processed slightly differently. Cigarettes are the worst, actually. Uh, so they affect you worse faster, but even though they're filtered, just
Right.
because the way they're processed.
Oh, for sure.
the other thing is the psychological habit. You maintain a psychological habit like that for 10 years. I knew an old man who quit smoking, and before we had electronic cigarettes or anything like that, he just started buying sugar-free lollipops, and he always had a lollipop in his mouth in order to satisfy that habit.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So.
Yeah, and breaking that cycle is hard, I guess. Yeah.
There are a lot of habits that are similar, where it's the action of doing it is as psychologically addicting as what it is you're doing. Just like there's similar things like that.
Oh, for sure. With me, it's with food.
Yeah.
I have it with food. I have a horrible food addiction.
See, my thing is kind of weird. I don't like the fact that I have to eat, but I have to eat. So I'm picky about what I eat because, certain things I just find extremely gross.
Right.
But I'm not stupid. I know that if I was stuck out in the wild, I could kill an animal and, gut it, cook it, eat it, whatever. I could do it. I prefer not to.
Well, the perspective changes, I think.
Yeah.
I was, for example, a lot of times when people when they're solitary and they don't go out as much, they're much more likely to become germophobes. And germophobia is actually not. It's not actually been established as a real phobia. It's more like it's not like it's just taught, it's taught to yourself, but you can unlearn it. It can go away, and all you have to do is change how you live. So what you would do is you expose yourself to other people more, and you go out more, and that's a way to break things like germophobia, like being afraid to shake hands, being afraid to touch doorknobs, whatever. All those, like, doing that more and more and being forced to, it will eventually go away, like things like that. And
I know people that are like that. It's like I would rather drink well water than city water. That through a city water system, and I would rather drink city water system rather than bottled water. But, because I don't get people who won't drink anything but bottled water. That just seems odd.
Boom.
Yeah.
For me, it's convenience, really, nothing else.
Because what I do is I buy a Gatorade. I used to buy bicycle bottles that I'd carry on my bicycle and refill them. But nowadays they're all made out of biodegradable plastics.
Yeah.
Which are derived from vegetable oils. So they break too easy. So I buy Gatorade bottles, which are polypropylene. They don't break real easy, and they last longer. And it's the same thing as having the bottles you carry on a bicycle. So I just refill it with tap water all the time, or soda or whatever.
The danger is contamination a lot of times with those things. That's the only problem. Yeah. Although not that big of a problem.
Yeah, the bigger problem with them is the extreme heat or extreme cold alters the chemicals.
Yeah. But yeah, like being like squeamish about eating certain types of meat, whatever, like that goes away as soon as you're on an island stuck alone and you have to kill your own food. That goes away quickly. Like once you feel that hunger, once that overwhelming feeling of hunger comes to you, you're gonna change your tune quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
just like my opinion of an oyster is like eating a booger.
Yeah.
But if it's all you got to eat, you're gonna eat it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's like if you were in the desert and you're walking in the desert and your mouth is dry and you're losing freaking whatever that stuff is that keeps you alive. I forget what it's called. Like if you were presented with a glass of sewer water, you would drink it. I
Yeah.
guarantee you would drink it.
It's kind of like people. It's kind of like people that are stranded at sea. It's common for them to end as they start getting delirious.
Yes.
They'll start drinking the seawater,
Oh yeah.
even though it's everybody's taught that's the worst thing you can do.
Mhm.
You've just killed yourself once you start doing that. You get
Exactly.
dehydrated and start drinking that, you're done.
Yeah.
But the urge beyond once you start getting delirious from it and everything, you can't help yourself.
Come on, there's all this water. What do you mean I'm gonna die? Water enough for everyone.
That would be a really strange way to go. Surrounded by water, you can't drink.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's
That'd
like
just be.
it's like the story of what is that guy called Midas. Midas, like he wants to be rich or whatever, and everything he touches turns to gold. So he can't eat anything. He can't touch anyone. He can't do shit. It's like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a curse.
I mean, think about it. Even people that are stranded, like lost in the desert somewhere.
Yeah.
There are cactuses we can eat. You can get moisture, a little bit of sustenance from them, very little. Mostly the moisture is what you're going to get, but they're also poisonous ones. And you know, and some of them are hallucinogenic, but just like peyote or something. But if you eat too much of it, you're not just going for a bad trip. You're not coming back. You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then there are reptiles that survive really well out in the desert, but if you don't know what to catch and eat, you may die from it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you're desperate enough. You're not going to die of thirst. Well, you might, but you're going to drink whatever's available.
I've even heard of people chopping off their own limbs, like when they're so hungry, like beyond hungry, like they chop off their own limbs and they cook and eat it.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. Although I've seen, so there was this movie based on like a real person, and I forget why he was suicidal, but he didn't want to live anymore, basically. So what he did was he made a tent out in the forest, somewhere far, far away in the forest, where no one would find him. He put a tent there, and what he basically did is he laid there to die. So all he would do is he would drink water, but he would not eat food. So he would slowly just starve. And then after a while, like this is like a real story. So at each step, he would write down his experiences, whatever he thought, whatever he was thinking, and the physiological phenomenon. So after a while, his body stopped feeling hungry. So he was past the breaking point, and then it's very weird. Your body is no longer hungry after you reach whatever point.
Now, I've known people that were poor that if you offered them a big meal, they would turn it down because they knew that it would stretch out their stomach, and the next day they would feel really bad because they couldn't get that amount of food. It's kind of weird.
That's weird, yeah. Yeah, there's so many interesting things about the human body. It's just so crazy. Like, yeah, glucose. Yeah, glucose. I think it's glucose. That's what you need so that the muscles. so that your brain can give the electrical signals, like I think it was, or is it to pass protein along? I think, yeah, it is. I think it was to pass protein, whatever. So the protein regulation, and you needed glucose for it. So, and as soon as you run out of, like, let's say you run for 2 hours and you're running out, what your brain does, it goes into sleep mode, like into low power mode first, and then sleep mode. So your brain literally shuts everything down, like it shuts you down. So what you'll be experiencing is you'll start to shake, you may vomit, you may experience vertigo, and you literally, like, either slowly or harshly fall to the ground. Your
Yeah.
brain literally cuts you off, because it's what it does is it wants to keep itself alive.
Yeah.
So this is always like when I was bleeding to death, I was several times, the brain was slowly taking away blood from all, like I was bleeding, so I was like in danger for my life, because I was very severely bleeding. But the brain, what it did is it shut down slowly, one by one, all my limbs, and the furthest first. So my legs would go numb, then my arms would go numb, and then slowly it came up more and more and more, all the way. And it was about to my midsection. I still could feel, but less and less as I went out. But the head was still okay. So
Yeah.
it's very curious. The brain, it's a very, like, it knows, like, to keep itself protected. It's very weird.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like people that um they get stuck out in freezing, where they get hypothermia and all that. Your
Mhm.
blood will shut down going to your limbs
Yes.
to keep the core warm, and as the core starts dropping, it does everything it can to preserve the brain for the last,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Um, One real odd thing I saw, it was a true story kind of thing where they did a reenactment, whatever,
Mhm.
where this couple got stuck in the middle of nowhere and it was freezing and they thought they were going the right direction. It would have been closer to go a different way, which is common actually, disorientation in situations like that. And you could eat the snow, but you trade off body temperature to do so, and the
Mhm.
cost is pretty high. And they kept going, but they had a baby with them that was like 6 months old. It was wrapped up, and they would only, open it up and check on it every once in a while like that. And the blanket they had it wrapped in and stuff. The baby didn't suffer any ill effects from it because babies have a layer of fat, and I don't know how long it lasts exactly, but
Mhm.
in this instance, the baby had enough of it. Just like a hibernating animal, that it will burn off to heat itself.
Mhm.
Um, where these people lost fingers and toes, and the baby experienced no negative effects at all because it was young enough to have still had that baby fat that's sort of like a hibernating bear. That it
Right.
where it, where it has, I think they call it brown fat or something. It's intended to burn off to
Mhm.
keep your body warm in severe situations, things like
Yeah,
that.
brown fat. Yeah, I think that's the thing that leads to heart attacks or whatever, if I'm not mistaken.
When you get old,
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think that's the thing. Yeah, about in your 40s, it starts about there.
mm,
The risk goes higher and higher as you age.
mm.
And see, that's why it's important to push your cardiovascular system. So you push all that crap out of there. You kind of clean the freaking system.
Yeah, it's just like my job where I work. I do apartment maintenance, and it's typical of apartments, modern apartments. They're three-story buildings, so it's not like an excessive workout, but I have to go up and down, doing maintenance on apartments and going around the property and whatever. And compared to an office worker who just shows up, sits there, and types, pretty major difference. course, quitting smoking would help.
Right.
And that's the only thing that's a big deal with me is smoking. Well, I don't really drink that much coffee anymore, and coffee's not that horrible. But but I never got into drinking or doing drugs and all that kind of other crap. And just never tried it when I was a teenager. It didn't interest me.
I think the funny thing is the stress actually may up ending causing you to die. Like the stress you're having from like saying I need to stop smoking. Like
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I've had people tell me, because I'm kind of serious,
Mhm.
in that like the facts matter sort of thing type
Mhm.
stuff, and I've had people tell me, it's like, dude, I know you don't drink, but man, you ought to start. Just and I know what they mean. They just mean to kick back and like not be so serious.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, you should. It's not good for you to stress out.
and it's like it's not legal in Texas, but I actually have had 2 different doctors in Texas tell me, just smoke a little weed, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that'd be really convenient if it wasn't illegal. Which means if you find any, which anybody can go out and find it,
Yeah.
You don't know what it is you're finding.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't know the purity. You don't know if someone decided, oh, I'm going to make this. I've actually heard of people who would take the seeds from peyote, crush them up, and blend them with pot in order to make the pot seem stronger than it really was. Stuff like that. There's weird things that go on because it's in an illegal market.
It's not regulated. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that synthetic weed stuff, I've heard horror stories about that.
Yeah. So they're that's why I think legalization and regulation. It'll if it doesn't totally eliminate the illegal market, it definitely put a dent in it, as long as you don't overtax it and stuff like that. And a lot of people would buy a regulated product that they know isn't blended with who knows what the hell, as long as you don't overtax it and stuff like that. Yeah. There we go.
That's
And
a good
a lot
point,
of people
Trail.
buy a regulated product that they know isn't blended with who knows what the hell, as long as you don't overtax it and stuff like that. Yeah. There we go. And a lot of people buy a regulated product that they know isn't.
I'll mute you a quick second, Trail. You're getting the feedback.
Yeah. It's that indefinite echo thing once it starts kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome, Trail. Good to see you. Oh shit. See, now I don't know what we were talking about. What were we talking about? Oh, right. Actually,
yeah, pot's illegal in Texas, and it relieves stress, as well as booze does. But booze also stimulates a lot of other bad crap too, depending on the person.
But if you've seen we were talking about legalizing all these drugs to regulate it. If you've seen Portugal, for example, I think it's Portugal. They legalized all the freaking drugs. Like every drug, they legalized.
Yeah, I remember one. I remember one of them, and the way they stated. I don't know exactly because I haven't read anything about it. But I remember years ago where what they stated was that they decriminalized it.
Right. Yeah. It's not legal. Yeah. That's a different thing. Right.
So basically, if you're caught with it, they'll make you go through counseling, whatever. But there's no criminal offense,
Right.
which really makes a difference.
I mean, it does because, like in America, I hear people once they go to jail, prison, they're kind of a marked person now. They're like a marked man. Now your job opportunities are gone, your housing opportunities are gone. Like anything that would help you, that's all out the window. Like because even government assistance, for example, housing. I think criminals are exempt from receiving those things, like a government-sponsored housing, whatever. Um,
I know they
just
were talk. I don't know if they passed the law, but they were talking about making it to where if you're getting any kind of welfare or government-sponsored housing, which people generally call Section 8, which covers a broad range of types of assistance. That if you qualify for those, they had talked about doing random drug testing on you, and if you're found dirty, you lose your benefits. I don't know if they passed that,
yeah,
but I've heard them talk about it.
it's just such a like it's such a punishment mentality, and it's just a recipe for disaster because what you're doing is you're pushing these people to the fringes, and I mean, those people have to live and they have to survive. So I mean, what are they gonna do if they can't work? If they don't have a house, what are they gonna do? They're gonna go to crime. That's how they're gonna
On top of
survive.
that, yeah, well, like it depends on the drug as far as the law goes. In Texas, if you're caught with 2 ounces or more of marijuana, it's a felony. Because the assumption is you wouldn't have that much if you weren't dealing. So they made it a felony, 2 ounces or more. But it's much stricter on other drugs that are considered harder. Uh, but the thing about it is, once once you get a felony on your record, there are ways to get it off, but it costs a fortune. But you know, say you get a felony on your record, and all you do is 2 years probation, 5 years probation, something like that. Well, once you get off probation, you can go hire a lawyer to have that taken off your record, but it can cost up to 10 grand. And as a felon, a standard apartment complex will not rent to a felon. Felons can't vote in the laws they have to abide by. They cannot own a firearm. Um, there's a whole slew of things. Once you get a felony on your record, you're screwed. And that's where you get people to own rundown mobile home, trailer park kind of things. That's where felons go rent because they don't have to go do the background check. Then they go, is a lot of the work they do is off tax record, which is another problem. But because they can't get hired for decent, legitimate jobs, they'll also sometimes mix that with crime to compensate for income. It's a horrible thing to do to somebody. You know, just because they're young, late teens, early 20s, and did something really stupid, is not an excuse to condemn them the rest of their lives. That's bullshit. That only makes the world worse.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Yeah. I think we're getting closer to the marijuana issue. But on some of the other drugs, it's much more difficult because people's views of them are much different.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go to your doctor and get addicted to anything you can talk them into.
I mean, it's just such an unenlightened view, in my opinion. Like this punishment mentality, it's just for the sake of appeasing. It's to appease the offended, not to heal the offenders. That's more what this is. It's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
really there to help people.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to be more concerned with keeping a healthy society in general. I mean, before 1900, we didn't have drug laws in Texas, or in the United States. Texas was the first one to pass a drug law, though. and it was for racist reasons. Well, not exactly racist reasons. It was racist, but it was because we were having problems. Like it was like the Dust Bowl era, sort of. It was before the Dust Bowl people talk about, but we were experiencing drought. People were. It wasn't the severest part of the of the drought, of the Dust Bowl, but it was. But we were having problems with that. We were having problems employing the numbers of people that were displaced already. And then Mexico has a civil war and a higher number than normal. The normal people coming across the Mexican border, they're used for labor, would always come over, migrant workers, whatever. But what happened is they had a civil war, and there were people fleeing from the civil war.
Mm-hmm.
So Texas passed a law against marijuana to push them back across the border. Go to prison for life or go back. And that was, that's what it was done for. When Congress got involved, it was totally different. And it was much more serious when once Congress got involved, and I can't remember if it was like 8 drugs they originally outlawed, but at the time they outlawed them, you could open up a Sears catalog and order morphine, 2 vials of morphine with the syringe. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But, back then it was the Food and Health Administration that made the bigger difference. Before we had a FDA, we had a Food and Health Administration that required labeling laws, because you could buy a cough syrup that contained cocaine and not know that how much cocaine you were taking.
Now
that
it's
was a big
codeine, I think. Now it contains codeine.
Yeah, nowadays it tends to be codeine.
Yeah.
If you have a prescription.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Grab something to drink.
I could use some cough syrup right now. My throat is like completely irritated. Hey, Latrell, what's going on with you? What's up?
Hi, baby.
How is Bubbles?
Bubbles is doing good. She's slowing down a little bit. I get these little cheese. There's the way that they're designed is supposed to help her teeth to grind, but they look like cheese, little squares of cheese.
Oh.
She loves those things. And I have to fight myself not to give her more than she's supposed to have, but
Oh yeah.
She loves those things, and I spoil her and have those in there for her. And I'm waiting. It's almost time for her to wake up now. So I'm waiting for the wheel to start turning.
Oh, do you have a link to that cheese thing?
Let me see if I can find it.
Now I'm interested.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh shit. I fell a while ago, and I fell on my on the side of my butt, and it is hurting like hell.
Huh?
Oh. Moving around is freaking torture.
Now, did you go about your knee yet?
What was that?
Did you go about your knee yet?
Oh yeah. I did go to the general physician, but I have an appointment with the specialist. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to make sure to let me know. I know my husband was looking around at the chat rooms, and he said, "Well, the debate coliseum is up." I said, "Really?"
Mm-hmm.
And he looked up and he said, "Oh," he said, "it's Tom." I said, "Well, I got to go in there."
Well, yeah. I just started one because nothing was really happening. No other rooms are open. Well, except Steve's, but
Well, of course.
not my cup of tea.
Well, you know where I stand on that.
Stand alone.
I didn't even know you had a cup of tea.
Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Testing. There's a video here. It says the science of kissing. Oh. Suppose they'll explain why it's enjoyable for humans to do.
Probably.
I'll link it. I actually recommend everyone subscribe to this channel. It's like a PBS. It's a PBS, like made by PBS, the channel, but it's on YouTube. And it's really comprehensive, actually. Like the way they explain things. And not even better than freaking Vsauce.
Oh, you know that there's a link that I posted a couple times, but let me copy this. It's now I gotta get the keyboard and hit enter. Damn it! I hate it when it happens. What it is that this is it exaggerates when people show cause and correlation.
Right.
And it's funny if you actually read down the list of things that really did correlate. I mean, well, but correlation doesn't indicate causation. And it really exaggerates that point. If it's this page full of graphs, you go down them, and it'll tell you what they are, and they're like bizarre. And it's a good site to point out to people who are saying that, well, it's just like some of the examples on a page. The first one, U.S. spending on science, space, and technology, as it correlates with suicides by hanging, strangulation, and suffocation. They're fairly close.
All right.
But totally unrelated. And when you scan down on the page, he shows some other good ones that look like there could be a relationship according to the graphs, but have nothing to do with each other. It's to exaggerate people who assume correlation indicates causation, which a lot of people do sometimes.
Right.
And sometimes the thing people point out like that, it isn't necessarily that their correlation is wrong. It's that it's blatantly obvious. Old people die. Duh. You get old enough, odds are you're gonna die.
This is true.
I don't know who set up that site, but I like that for that reference. So.
My whole sleeping schedule is upside down. It's like 2:30 a.m. and then I'm kind of tired, but I don't want to sleep. Yesterday I was up all night until 5 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm tired actually.
It's kind of funny when I was young. When I was younger, I could get away with that. Me and my sister would sometimes, like, I'd get home from work, we'd live close together, and I'd be exhausted and I'd just crash out. Then I'd wake up and I'd walk over her place and we'd talk. And there were times where we could talk like 18 hours straight
Wow.
and everything. Just the way we talk upset people. I didn't know this till I got older when somebody pointed it out, because I can be talking about one thing. She thoroughly understood what I was talking about and would give me responses, and she'd be talking about something different. I thoroughly understood and gave her responses. So we're carrying on two conversations, and I had someone point out to me, I can't listen to y'all, drive me nuts. But we grew up together. I mean, we relate, even to this point where we've gone for years living apart. We can sit down and start getting into something and talking about something and go right back to that same spot. The difference is I can no longer keep going till 5 a.m.
Ah.
because getting old has an effect.
Yes, it does.
I've noticed myself, my bones are rickety. I'm like 29 right now.
It's falling apart.
I'm falling apart, yeah.
Uh,
Now I've noticed, I can't handle staying up as well as I did when I was a bit younger. It's becoming less and less.
it's kind of like I've always done jobs where I had to climb ladders, and like on the side of a building, the perfectly vertical ladders going up the side, stuff like that. I've done, in fact, I've climbed a ladder carrying stuff up the ladder when I go up it, and different things. I've been fairly agile, but once I hit my 50s, I noticed it kind of slacked off a bit. I still get away with a reasonable amount for being older, but it's not as easy. I can still walk out in my backyard and jump fence, the 4-foot chain link fence. But
Damn, you ain't good.
but I'll tell you, do that too many times, the impact can get to you.
If I tried to jump a chain link fence, I would have it ripped up my asshole the first time.
Diabetes, high blood pressure.
My husband wants to know, do you have diabetes or high blood pressure, Lucy?
Not yet.
He said not yet.
My sister has mild diabetes, and she just takes pills for it. And watches her diet and takes pills. But she also had, about a year ago, she had a what is it? I think she had a bypass, and she didn't even know it. She went into a doctor, and the doctor walked her over to the hospital. And I think it's a pig's valve put in her heart, whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where they changed the valve. And
Yeah.
I know I have a grandmother who had diabetes real bad and high blood pressure and stuff. My brother has high blood pressure, but I don't think he has diabetes or anything.
Well, you're fairly slim. I mean, you're average size.
Yeah, I'm getting heavy, but yeah, kind of, yeah.
Well,
My doctor,
we won't go there. But I mean, you're
Yeah.
average size.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not 20 anymore, so what the hell, right? Um,
My husband, he's getting personal now. He said, "Is he in his 60s now?" I said, "That's
I'm getting.
not a good question to ask somebody."
Well, you can ask a guy, not a woman.
He said, "Oh,
Yeah.
he said you can ask a guy, but not a woman."
Yeah. Actually, tomorrow I'll be 57.
57.
Really? Well, happy birthday!
You're only 3 years older than me.
You hear that? You're
Uh,
3 years
yeah.
older than him.
Well, actually, I'm wrong. I took the day off tomorrow. It's Saturday when I actually turn 57. But
Well, happy early birthday if I don't come back on and see you.
I was actually thinking about what to do, and I have no clue. It might rain. I thought about, you know the atheist experience stuff going on up in Austin.
Yeah.
Well, this year I've been up there 4 times. Before, normally I'd go up there once every couple of years and whatever. It's not like I really know these people that well, but you know, some of them recognize me. Um, they have that back cruise thing once a year, and I've never gone to it. Well, it's going to be on my birthday, so I thought about going. The only thing is, it might rain.
Well, that sucks.
Well,
It'd be
my
cool pulling
truck.
up on your motorcycle.
See, on my truck, I never renewed the license plates because I hardly drive it. So I don't. So you know, and I don't want to get snagged for that.
Yeah, you don't want to ride in the rain either.
Yeah, riding a motorcycle is a lot more fun until a little bit of rain doesn't bother me, but you start getting heavy rain, it stings. So
Oh,
yeah, so it depends. I don't know. I thought about going up there though. I'm not real sure yet.
yeah, Lucid, he's just my age of man. If something happens to your ass, I'm going to Texas. He said that he was going to grow his hair like yours, and I was going to braid it. Because he asked me, we talk about this shit all the time. He said, "Would you braid Lucid's hair?" I said, "Hell yeah."
It's actually
Would.
where I work. They changed the rule last year, which is a good thing because my hair was. They used to say we had to have our hair cut off color, and
Oh, uh-uh.
and when they hired me, I had long hair, and well, when I did commercial air conditioning and refrigeration for like 20 years, and my hair, both my beard and my hair on my head, was all buzzed off with the number 2, about a 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, something like that,
Wow.
for 20 years. Because doing that, going into businesses to do that, you're
Right.
expected to look like the you're expected to look like the Maytag man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, so and having normal length hair is a pain in the ass. Having it long enough where you can tie it back is easier. But anyway, when I got out of that, I started to let it grow long. The company I hired with knew I had long hair and knew I had no intention of changing it. They also have a rule you can't wear an earring. I've had a pierced ear since I was 14, which was in the early days where it was a little radical. Not
Yeah.
so much now. Yeah, not so much now.
Where now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So
you just go to bed tonight knowing that you got somebody in North Carolina that would braid that damn hair.
yeah. It's kind of funny. We have a corporate office in North Carolina and a corporate office in New York,
Huh.
which actually I was supposed to go to next week, and I don't go to such things, and luckily it's optional. So
Well,
I told
I
him,
heard you talking about that because he was listening to it like 30 minutes behind. And I said,
no,
I'm
yeah,
going on there and I'm going to ask Lucid, why in the hell ain't he coming to North Carolina? Because I would meet your ass wherever you were at. course, I'd bring him so that it would look legitimate. But I would love to meet you.
Yeah, the thing about it is that there's several reasons. My brother has custody of a disabled child in our family. 22, but he's got the mentality of an 18-year-old.
Right.
Plus, my brother also owns a gun shop, which is a 12-hour a day affair to run a business.
Right.
And he also has 2 teenage daughters. So I'm one of the family members that's a just in case.
Right.
Call me up and I'll tell my job, hey, I got to go later.
Yeah.
It's the same way I treated my job as a single parent raising my daughter. Every place I hired, there were 2 things. I got to be home the end of every day, no matter what. So if you plan on me doing out of town work, forget it. The other thing is, when it was my daughter, it was like, if that phone rings and it's my daughter and it's urgent, you got to figure out how to fix it because I'm out of here.
Oh hell yeah,
And,
families first.
Yeah, and any company who wouldn't respect that, I wouldn't work for.
Yep. I
Well,
agree.
the same thing. Same thing. We have a child. It's not that I help out a lot, but that if the phone rings and it's my brother and it's an issue, I'm out of here. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I can't do that if I'm out of state.
Exactly.
And there is a second thing to me that is a big deal. Is I'm not catching an airplane anywhere. Last time I was on an airplane. I was on an airplane. 1976 was the last time. I'm not afraid of flying. Nothing phases me. I'm not afraid of heights. I mean, dying doesn't scare me. None of it scares me. I'm not fazed by much of anything. The pain of dying might faze me, but dying itself won't. But my reason is political. I'm not going to go through the bullshit that they decided to put us through to get on the goddamn plane. They kiss my ass.
Do you want me to tell you a story about that shit?
So that's why I figured I was going to tell my company, if you really, really made it mandatory, you're paying for a rental car and a hotel stayover for me to drive there.
Oh
that's
yeah.
The only way that's the only way you're getting my ass up there. And I will get a doctor's note saying so.
Well, I can't blame you for that.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
But just know that I'm going to miss you. But I went, the last time I flew was when they had implemented all of the damn x-ray shit and all this stuff that, they would put you through. Well, I ended up being, they did my luggage and all that stuff, which is fine. I don't care, whatever you want to do. They made me take my damn shoes off, whatever. I reckon if they'd have wanted me to stand there in my underwear, that'd have been fine too. Of course, sometimes I wear them and sometimes I don't. So, being completely up to them wouldn't have made a shit to me either way. But I caused the alarm to go off.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out what the hell, because they kept running the wand on me and couldn't figure out what was making the damn alarm go off. And my friend, she kept standing there at the end and she was like, what in the hell? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Well, after I got put through the damn ringer, I figured out what it was, and they never did find out what it was.
Yeah.
I had my Bluetooth on my ear, and that's what kept making it go off. And they had even put me in that damn x-ray machine, and it didn't show up.
Yeah.
But they let me go anyway.
Yeah.
So what the hell does that tell you?
Well, I'll tell you what, though. The apartments where I live at, we had a guy who had worked for the TSA, and then he quit. Well, I think they fired him, but he said he quit. The kind of people they hire are people that I wouldn't hire to run a cash register at a nice house.
Oh shit.
It's it. Now I don't know if all of them are that bad
Right.
because I've never gone through it, but you know, it's just bullshit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some of them give you
Yeah.
a harder time than others. I could understand when the alarm went off that they were kind of freaking out. Me, you look at me in person and you really don't know if I've been in the sun a lot. You can't really tell if I have Middle Eastern a little bit going on in the blood or if it's the American Indian in me. You
Yeah.
can't tell because I can get really dark.
Yeah.
And so I could sort of see where, you know, it might raise a red flag. But we've got so many radicals over here in the United States. It doesn't matter if you're Islamic or Caucasian. It doesn't matter because one set would just as soon blow you up as another.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's like Timothy McVeigh.
exactly.
I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that alarm went off, you could see that it's like every line in that airport, they all started drawing up. And I'm like, well, I will be damned. And because I'm not one that likes a lot of attention anyway. I know you
Yeah.
find that hard to believe, as boisterous as I can be. But I don't like to go to a public place and have a lot of eyes on me. I want to
Yeah.
be in and out and done with it. Now, if I drink a couple of drinks and get that under my collar, now I might not give a shit. Who cares about what? But I will say, after that little ordeal, I ended up at what was it, the Steak and Ale? I had a few Long Island iced teas after that little ordeal.
Yeah.
But and my friend, she was pulling me and dragging me whenever they were like calling out something. I don't know. I probably would. I'd have been sleeping in the airport. But anyway, I finally made it through. But it was just, it was crazy, and they never found out what it was. And it dawned on me. I just happened to hit. I was kind of pulling my hair back behind my ear. And when I did, my finger hit it, and I said, I will be damned.
Yeah.
She said, what? I said, it was that damn Bluetooth. I said,
Yeah.
that's what it was that made it go off.
I was actually disappointed in Texas a few years ago. I can't remember which, if it was the House or the Senate, whatever, in our state, the legislature. One of them had drafted a bill to kick TSA out of our airports.
Mm.
The governor said he would sign it. That was when we had Rick Perry, who was kind of a fanatic. Well, to put it lightly, but he said he would sign it if it hit his desk.
Right.
Then they passed it on to the other side of the legislature, and I don't. It died there, but the excuses that came out made no sense. One excuse they used was that they couldn't pass it through because the federal government said that if Texas did that, they'd make Texas a no-fly zone. Okay,
What?
You cannot make Texas a no-fly zone for two reasons. Dallas is one of the biggest hubs in the country.
Hell yeah.
And on top of that, Kelly Air Force Base, Fort Hood. We have more military installations here that people got to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? Relocate all of your military? So their excuses were bullshit. So I don't know what happened. My guess is that the Senate just decided, well, I have friends that work there. It's probably something really stupid like that.
Yep.
But everybody that I knew in Texas and in my everyday life, they were like, you know, it's about frickin' time we fix this bullshit.
Yep.
But they dropped it. And in regards to Perry, there's a lot of stuff Perry's done and would have done could he got away with it that I disagree with. But that's one thing I could definitely agree with.
Right.
And it never got to his desk. The TSA doesn't serve the purpose they were intended. They're not very good at what they do. The machines they operate are better than they are, basically. So there's a lot of things like that, like the Patriot Act stuff, and there's a lot of things about it. And some of these things, it's not that they're all bad. It's that they have really bad aspects to them. And the TSA is one of them.
How far are you from Dallas?
I'm just right outside San Antonio. It's like, I think 400 miles or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
I've driven to Dallas. It takes about 5 hours, roughly, to get to Dallas.
I've slept in the airport at Dallas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Remember when the Super Bowl? I don't know. It's been several years ago. I think they had a Super Bowl that was in Dallas. I forget who was even playing, but I got snowed in. Well, it was ice here.
Yeah.
And so all the flights out that were coming here were canceled.
Yeah, see, we get I mean, Dallas freezes over every year, actually. Where I'm far enough south where we get a little ice here and there, but not enough to matter. But people aren't used to it, so if there's an inch of slush on the road, there's idiots all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah. But we got snow a few years ago, and it was like an inch. I mean, an inch that actually stuck, which was shocking. Because the ground had stayed frozen just long enough for it to stick. And within a few days, it was gone.
Right.
Other than
That's
that,
my kind of thing.
Yeah, other than that, it was like back around 2000 or so, roughly. We got 4 inches. And then, I can't remember, it was back around 95 or so, somewhere around there, we had like 4 inches. Right after my daughter was born, she was like 3 months old. It's like, in 1984, on Christmas Day in San Antonio, was 80 degrees. By January 15th, we had a foot of snow on the ground.
Mm.
The most snow I've seen down here in my life. We normally don't get it.
Well, see, we get ice. It is a rare occurrence that we get snow. But it was somewhere around, like you were saying, 2003, 2002, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
There was 23 freaking inches on the ground.
Yeah.
And it took me, the house that I was living in at the time was closer to where I worked, which ain't saying much because it is probably about 6 miles away from where I live now, but closer. And when I fell asleep in the rocking chair and it was pouring down rain. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was on call that night. Pager had never gone off, but I know that by me being on call, I was supposed to be there regardless.
Yeah.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up to dead silence. And I'm like, oh shit. I got up, I turned the floodlight on outside, and I mean, it was coming down.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit. So I went flying back in the bedroom, put on a uniform, went outside, got in the car. You know, it's front wheel drive, so I won't worry so much about me. It's just that I live in a lot of back country roads.
Yeah.
And what did worry me was whenever I got on the main highways, because yeah, they might be out there trying to treat them, but then you got those asshole Yankees that come from up north that are used to driving in the shit, but yet they have the equipment and stuff up there to take care of it, whereas here we don't.
Yeah.
We're not equipped to handle it. And I knew whenever I got closer to Raleigh that it was going to be a nightmare. So it took me from my house to the end of the road, which I know was like 10 miles. And it took me an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm like, screw this shit. I ain't doing this for hell or high water. So I called the hospital and I told them, I said, look, I said, it's took me an hour and a half to go 10 damn miles. I said, you can tell my supervisor if she don't want me to come back to save me some gas and call me and put the pink slip in the damn mail. I said, because I won't be bothering her.
Yeah. Yeah. That I was living out the opposite side of San Antonio that I do now, about 30 miles out roughly. And it snowed, I think it was 98. And in the city of San Antonio, they sand the bridges.
Right.
They don't salt anything like some areas up north. If anything, they put sand and but coming in from I-10, basically coming into San Antonio, I mean, I'm driving a 1-ton truck, utility bed truck. I mean, definitely overloaded actually, and I'm driving with all the rest of the traffic. and in front of us, a guy hits a bridge and did the thing that idiots do, tapped his brakes. Well, as soon as he tapped the brakes, everybody behind us, we were all spread out pretty well. We're not, you know, most of us weren't idiots at least.
Yeah.
And all you do is just coast, let off the gas and let it coast down real gradual.
Right.
This guy taps his brakes, and, you know, 2 lanes one way on a highway, his truck turns sideways, slides over, and then rolls down and stops when it hits a ditch.
Oh, shit.
And it's like nothing anybody can do. I'll call a wrecker for you, pull you out of the damn ditch. I mean, but it's like I've driven back in '82. I was in Lubbock. It snows in Lubbock.
Mm.
And growing up where I did, we never saw snow. It's extremely rare. Well, I had a Kawasaki 1000 that was modified. It was like a cross between a cafe racer and a drag bike. It was really low to the ground, and that's all I had.
Oh, shit.
So there was already a little bit of snow on the ground, and it snowed 2 feet. So I'm going to work, and it's like, imagine a guy like the way they lay down on motorcycles at drag races. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm on the bike like that. I'm putting my feet down beside me as skis. And I'm
Yeah.
laying down on a bike like this, leaning forward, and basically you put it in first gear, keep your feet down, and just gradually let out. Back tire starts spinning a little. You start, okay, get a little squirrely, get going,
Mm.
and then you just barely lean to the right enough to hit it into second gear, and that's as far as you go. You don't get above second gear, and you know you're doing 20 miles an hour or something. But in 2 foot of snow, you're a plow.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I went to work and whatever, all that. And you can get away with a lot of stuff if you know how to handle it, sort of, and be cautious and expect that if you drop it, you just like on a motorcycle, make sure it doesn't land on you at least and just slide. But there are people driving cars who, I mean, most people wouldn't get on a motorcycle in a situation like that anyway. But there are people in cars who don't think. I mean, I remember when I was a kid where I'd hit the ice over bridges. I know the road arcs like this, so I would
Try to get.
stay right up as close as I could to the top of the ridge, so that and when the ice starts allowing you to drift, don't do anything. Just let it. You drift. By the time you're off the bridge, your tires grab again. You're fine. But if you try to take any action, there's nothing you can do. So what you do is just let it go. Yeah, because anything you do is going to make it worse. Unfortunately, not everybody gets that. But yeah, luckily we don't have a lot of that down here.
Yeah, we're lucky. I say it now, but we might have 6 feet by the time this fall and winter's over with. But in November, it was November the 21st, 2008, when I got ready to leave to go to work that morning, there were snow flurries.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know, no big shit, whatever, it'll be fine. But I leave, well, at the time I left, and it was before 6 o'clock. So it was still dark outside. You couldn't see nothing. And you know how things look when there's snow clouds outside. It's 10 times darker than it would be on a regular day.
Yeah.
So I had left and was going to work. I was, you know, I wasn't in a hurry because I always was one to get to work early so I could drink a cup of coffee, kind of ease my way into the day, because I'm pretty much, I hate people and I have to ease into it and, you know, build up to greeting the public.
Yeah.
So I left, you know, at my normal time because I never would really speed. Not saying that I wouldn't whenever I got out on the main drag, because that's where you got to go or get run over. But on the back roads and with the flurries and everything, I thought, well, you know, I'm going to take it easy and not really put it down. And there was this one area that I got to, and I still cannot be certain of what actually happened. I don't know for certain if I hit a slippery spot or if I blew a rear tire. I don't know. But there was a hill that I was coming down. And I started fishtailing. Well, I started going, you know, with the direction of the, you know, where I was headed.
Yeah.
I let it go where it was going to go, and I didn't try to freak out and panic. I went with it. Well, then I started spinning around in the road. And I remember spinning like 3 times, and it's like, what the fuck you going to do?
Yeah.
So I spun around 3 times in the road, and finally the back tire hit dirt. And I thought, okay, we're going to be good. This is going to be fine. Oh, no, it was not fine. I went down a 15-foot embankment. And now you talk about a panic attack. Knowing that I was in that damn car, and I had one of those things in the trunk that, you know, if your battery dies, it can jump your car off, or if your tire pressure's low, you can hook it up to your, it's like an air compressor. It does a little bit of emergency lights. It does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Well, I was in shock, and that damn thing was back there in the trunk, and it was going.
Yeah.
And I was laying on the gas tank side. So all I could think is, this bitch is going to blow.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck in it. And the windshield was caved in. Windshield was caved in. And my head had busted out the driver's side window. Every other window in that car was perfectly in place except for the windshield caved in and the driver's side window was busted out. It was gone.
Yeah.
And the engine had stalled off, and the lights, I don't know what the hell I was thinking about the lights, of cutting the lights off and saving the battery, because I'm thinking, this bitch is totaled, and I know it's totaled. There's no damn way in hell it couldn't be.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah.
That must have hurt.
It did hurt.
Oh.
So I had been talking to my dad on the phone, and my dad heard everything. He heard the glass breaking. He heard everything. And he eventually made it out to my rescue.
Yeah.
My dad, mom, and sister left me in the Grand Canyon when I was younger.
How old were you?
Yeah, and I kind of just walked as a 9-year-old little boy and went by the name Joe Dirt.
Yeah, right.
And yet you still smoke.
You got it, baby. That didn't have
I'm not.
anything to do with
I'm not your
running
baby.
my car off the road.
Yeah, it does. You mad?
No, precious. I'm actually getting turned on.
You're fucking weird.
You think?
No, I know.
What's your name, cutie?
What do you think?
I think the name was Troll.
Yeah, he was cringy.
Yes, he was.
Oh my god.
But I love to play those games.
You know, they should have left him there on the Grand Canyon. You know, just leave him there.
There's there too.
Seriously.
I wouldn't have never come back for him. Hey,
No.
Jude.
Hi. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, how are you doing?
You're good.
I'm doing all right.
So who's this other little, what's, forgive me for saying it wrong, is it Sego?
CSGO.
Siesco.
I mean, that would be my guess. I mean, it might be a reference to Counter-Strike Global Defense.
Hi, cutie! I'm just a little turned on right
Alright, you're done.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah. How about Timby over here? He ain't said shit.
I was just tuning in and listening in.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Ken.
So
do
you're
y'all
not
live
you're
in,
not a weird ass, right?
Oh no, I'm not.
That's
I'm
not.
not. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you can
So-
say.
So y'all lived down south?
I do. And
I do as well.
this is from Texas.
Yeah, I'm from Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the Shreveport and Bossier flood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good thing we had flood insurance though.
Oh, well, I would say so.
Yeah, they're kind of screwing us over right now. Have you ever been anything so like catastrophic or something like that, like serious?
Not like that, I haven't.
Dude, what's up, stylish grandpa?
What's this? The hell was that?
Who's that same little fucker?
You must be really bored.
He don't have a life. Obviously,
Oh,
he's not there and jerks off in his daddy's socks.
I always thought it was weird because I've years ago I was in another set of hangouts, sort of, and there were people who would pre-make like 20 different identities that would just cycle through them. Just
Yeah.
it's just kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these are the future psychopaths of America.
Nah, they're just bored, lonely people.
Yeah.
They sounded very young, I think. I was that mischievous when I was their age.
Now, Palm, I cannot picture that.
Oh no, I was a hellraiser.
I'd have spanked your ass and enjoyed every minute of it.
They'll grow out of it. They'll grow out of it.
I guess the kind of mischief people do nowadays is change from like toilet paper in houses and stuff to trolling instead. I guess I don't know.
I know, hell, when I was in high school, me and a friend of mine went into the damn teacher's parking lot and toilet papered one of our teacher's cars, whose classroom was right there at the damn window.
I'll tell you what. When I was a kid, what I thought was funny, I never did anything to cause serious damage because the whole idea was just to sort of be annoying, sort of.
Yeah,
Kind of like toilet paper or house. It cleans off easy.
exactly.
But one of the things that was really cool when I was a kid is when they started coming out with door handles on cars, like on when the Camaros and stuff, where you put your hand under to lift it, pull it out.
Under it.
You take either Vaseline or peanut butter,
Oh, gross.
and it was hilarious. But it wasn't damaging. It was intended as an innocent prank.
Yeah.
Frustrating, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I know if I would have toilet papered a house and my dad found out about it, I would have been out there cleaning that shit up. Plus,
Well, that's a difference too. That's the difference too. It's like when I was a kid, if you got caught toilet paper in a house, well, they made you go clean it up.
Oh, yeah.
Now they arrest you.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
You see, if you're black, they'll shoot you.
So.
Hey, Detroit, you've been hearing about this shit? What's going on where you are?
I heard about what happened in Charlotte.
Mm.
And that's the only thing that I know of that has happened. It seems like there was, I don't know if they had been stopped or what, and somebody said that they got a gun, and the police officer just started firing. And then they found out they didn't have a gun.
Well, wait a minute.
From what I know, there was all kinds of riots and all kinds of stuff going on in Charlotte.
But from the reports I read is that they actually recovered the gun from the body.
Oh, really?
That's what I read from CNN.
Huh.
Yeah, but there's a lot of conflicting stuff going on, so you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not
I
surprised.
haven't read that today.
I'm not surprised, you know. I mean, it's just chaos.
I've been all over the place today. I've been physical therapy with my arm, and that was like a half a day ordeal. They think that I had or have a concussion.
Oh my.
They think that that's what's causing me to, because before I fell, I did not shake. My hands didn't shake. And it's like now my whole body will shake. And I'm never one that is cold, but I have more cold spells now than I ever have. And there was a bunch of questions that they asked me, and I failed like over half of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Is this like a neurological thing? Is it like, did you hit your head or what's?
Yeah, when I failed, well, see, I didn't really know exactly how I fell. Luckily, my husband was standing at the door and he saw the whole thing happen. If he hadn't, I could have been laying in the yard for a few minutes before he would have thought, what's taking so long? But he was standing at the door and he saw the dog tighten the lead as I tripped over it. And I landed on my shoulder and my head hit the ground. And I mean, my glasses were jacked up. It just completely ruined my glasses. So he said, I know that you hit your head. And he said, I even asked them when we were at the hospital about you hitting your head. But they never addressed that. They were more concerned about my arm because of how bad it was. I guess because I never lost so-called consciousness.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Yeah, the head, I mean, that's a very sensitive area to damage. It's
Well,
very unpredictable.
yeah, and you hear about all these football players and stuff that their brain gets shaken and stuff. And I mean, I know I'm not like some sports fanatic that my head's going to get slammed every week. But
it won't like you just failed. Your feet were off the ground when your shoulder and head hit the ground.
yeah, he said it wasn't like I just fell. He said it was full force the way my shoulder and my head hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest concern, I mean, my shoulder hurt like hell, but it hadn't been that awful long ago that I had surgery on my neck.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my biggest fears, was that I had damaged what I had just had repaired.
I know one of the bigger, more traumatic things in regards to head injuries is side impacts. Because, I mean, we're kind of designed to bump our head front and back sort of more. Not that I advise it, but you know, but when you hear about car accidents that have the most traumatic head injury, it's from a side impact, and the brain's not really designed to slosh side to side very well. It'll tolerate more front to back, and side to side is much more traumatic. And I think that's why football players and things like that have that kind of injury, because it's likely to be a side impact tackle. You know what I mean?
Well, I have
And when
slammed my head from the side for so many times that I reckon this time was my time. But I don't know how long you get over it takes to get over. I mean, I know that I've got hospital experience, but I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. So I don't know how long it takes to get over a concussion. But I can't stand up for shit. I fell into the window this morning when I got up out of my recliner. I was staggering all over. You would have thought I was drunk as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And things don't, she was asking me about taste. And there are things that don't taste right to me now.
But with any injury, well, the head is different, of course, but at least from my experience with any injury, rehabilitation is a lot of times the number one factor to either cope with your new situation or reverse it. So, but either one, it's just doing things and being active and just dealing with it. I found that's the best way to deal with any of these physical issues. Yeah, I mean, have you looked into maybe getting what is it called, a crutch or something like? So as soon as you lose your balance, you have a crutch, you can lean on the crutch to prevent you from falling.
I may have to get like a cane or something. Because I'm really unsteady.
Right.
And she asked me, did I have problems like looking up? And I don't have problems looking up, but if I lean forward or try to bend forward, I will fall. I will start falling forward.
It has to do with your nose, ear, and vision, I think. That sort of problem. It's when your brain is confused.
Yeah, equilibrium
Yeah.
issues from the inner ear difference.
Right, but it's mainly the brain, though.
But I tell you, if you get a cane, make sure you get one of those four-legged canes. Like a cane where on the bottom it has those four little legs, because you don't need another dependent. You can just set it down there; it'll be fine.
Yes, exactly. I like the way you think.
I mean, at least until you get better, this is a good option, I think. A cane till you get a hold of this, whatever this is going on with you.
Well, she gave me a bunch of exercises to do at home. Nothing related to the head. She wants me to talk to my psych about some of the issues going on with the head to make sure that it's not some interaction of medication. And she wants to evaluate me. Well, I've got to go and do aquatic therapy. And then she wants to evaluate me again just before I go back to my doctor.
Man, check it out.
Oh, yeah.
See what it says here?
I see that.
Congressman says that the protesters hate white people.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because North Carolina congressman says that protesters hate white people.
Mhm. I don't think that's true. I think they're just fed up with what they are, at least what they are perceiving is injustice. I think that's what they're. I think that's what the anger is more concentrated. I don't think it's
I don't
saying
think it has anything to do with it either. I think it's
yeah.
just, like you said, it's just the injustice of it all. And
I mean, it may fuel some anger and like saying, well, now I hate white people. Like it may like push people to say that, but it's not because they really hate white people. It's just, I think it's just more, what we're being treated like, badly, and this is like they need an outlet, and sometimes they choose the wrong words.
well, I feel like well, I'm not saying that it's just African Americans, because Hispanics, there's a lot of races that are being singled out, and it's wrong. And I just think about that African American guy that had his concealed carry card on him, told the officer, and was reaching to get it out, and then the cop just fired all these rounds into him and killed him.
Right in the car, and his girlfriend was on Facebook.
Yeah, the girlfriend was there on Facebook and had it broadcast. And didn't she have a kid in the back seat?
Yeah, had her daughter in the back seat, and the damn cop was slipping their gun through the window. The guy sitting there, he still had his gun going.
I just think that there's too much. They're too trigger happy. I mean, I believe in our veterans, and I believe that they have done their job. But sometimes I don't know that law enforcement is necessarily where they need to be when they come back. Because I think a lot of times PTSD goes undiagnosed.
When he hired these guys right out of the military after he went to Iraq and Afghanistan and put them in the police office. The worst thing they could do.
Yeah, that's actually a really common practice. It's been a problem for a while. Also, the fact that we've changed the referencing, instead of peace officers or police officers, they changed to law enforcement. The terminology, the parts of the job description actually convey a different message to them as employees. Where if you're hired as a peace officer, what goes through your head is, I'm here to keep the peace. When you're hired as law enforcement, oh, I'm here to enforce the law.
Right.
And there's a problem with that. But, and a lot of people, I know people that came back from Vietnam who never actually saw war. They weren't on the front lines. They were, clerks, for that matter. I mean, things like that, where they were nowhere near the front line. They came back where they never saw any direct problems. But the psychological problems that can derive from being in a foreign country, which may or may not perceive you as the enemy, and living in that environment and coming back takes time to adjust.
Yep.
Even if you're not on the front lines. I only know one guy right now who actually served in Vietnam, who's an aircraft mechanic who flew with the bomber that he serviced.
Whew.
and he's fine, you know. But he also didn't go into law enforcement. He's an aircraft mechanic,
Right.
you know, so which is fine.
And I'm not saying that there aren't some that aren't okay to be police officers, but you know, a lot of the ones that have boots on the ground that were on the front lines, they've seen a lot of shit that I wouldn't even begin to imagine what they've seen. It would probably send me over the edge, and I'd have nightmares every night.
You know, when you look upon people as the enemy, the public as the enemy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you've got to look at little kids as well as women as being, you know, dangerous.
Just like when they were in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to mess with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's sort of like a, or I don't know how thoroughly they could do it, but I think if you've served overseas at all, there should be some psych evaluation to help that is not stigmatized in order to help you should you need it without stigmatizing you.
Yep.
And if you actually saw combat, it's all more critical because and even if you didn't actually see direct combat, if you lived in an environment for any significant amount of time where you felt like any moment you'd have to wake up and shoot something, there's a problem with that. You need some decent psych evaluation without being stigmatized. It's sort of like when we send people to outer space and bring them back, and we you know, we spend time. What do they call it? I can't remember what it's called now because I'm old. But but it's the same thing when people do really deep sea diving and come back. Aside from adjusting to pressure differences and physical stuff, they're mentally worked through as well, because the possibility, like deep sea diving in a case like that, it's a weird claustrophobic, weird situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Things that most of us will never experience. Things we weren't designed to experience, basically. You know?
Yep.
Well, even if you don't actually see combat, living in an environment where you're that on edge, you need to. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people need help coming back to reality. That was a then thing. You know what I mean? The world's you're cool now. You know, you can calm down. Everything's cool, but it kind of gets ingrained in people's minds sometimes.
Yep. And they say that they have all of these programs and all of these things that they put these soldiers through to kind of a decompression, like you say, kind of thing. But I don't know that it's necessarily a long enough period of time or even evaluated properly.
I would think military training is totally different than police training to begin with. They have very little in common with each other, except that you get to use a gun. I mean, there's not much. They're totally different. I think if you get out of the military, you should not be able to become a police officer, security guard, or anything like that for at least 4 years.
Yep.
Because it may take you that long to get your mind back in the society you really live in.
Right.
So.
And to find out if you can handle it.
And I've actually known some people who never made it back.
Yeah.
Of course, these are people that are a little bit older than me. I grew up around them. I know them. They went to Vietnam. When they came back, some people don't come back all the way.
Yeah.
And one guy in particular, I know that he feels like he has to stockpile everything.
Yeah.
I mean, abnormally. I mean, not even like survivalist. I mean, ridiculous stuff. Anyway, and he feels paranoid of anybody knowing that he has an extra can of beans in his house. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know what went through his head, but he's probably like 10 years older than me, and he's been like this all the time that all the time I've known him since he got back from Nam. And some people will simply not really be all right. You just make them. You try to provide so they can live as decent a life as possible after something like that.
They probably got out there and didn't have all the rations and stuff that they needed and had to eat things that things that we would just die to think eating.
Yeah, of all the people that I mean, most of the people that they would be a little bit older than me, but that I knew had to do with Nam, not, the later wars. But I've met a few people from the later wars, but I don't know them personally. Yeah. See, that's a problem too. But they would rate they could be sent on what is supposed to be a 3-day trek and be gone for weeks. And only have, and even at most have like a week's ration. They just make these little bitty. It's a real thin tin can, real thin, that has peanut butter. It's fortified and whatever like that. They used to carry those and a bunch of other things before we had. This is the day before real MREs and stuff. And by weight, you can only carry so much. On top of your ammunition and all the goodies.
Right.
And they expect to be out 3 days. They're prepared for the possibility where they're carrying enough for a week rationing, and they end up out there for weeks by the time, because they get in some hairy crap, and in some cases simply get lost. Because in some of these areas that they would go would be, to them, pretty much uncharted territory, where it wasn't always easy to keep your bearings of where you're at. And I'm sure there's similar type things happening in all wars, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, I don't see the possibility of somebody going through something like that and just going straight back to their regular job and everything's hunky-dory. I just don't see that.
I agree.
No. And in a situation where your job is to carry a gun and protect people, but you're also in fear for your own life still.
And then you start having flashbacks.
Yeah, there's no telling. Yeah. Just the psychological state is wrong for keeping the peace. But,
I mean, I told my husband, I said, my husband doesn't have, but I do, I have a concealed carry. And I said, if I got stopped first, me being a woman, I wouldn't stop in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, I'd put my flashers on to let them know that I knew that they were back there. and I'd try to get my cell phone and call 911 and let them know that it was me on this vehicle, and I know that there's an officer behind me. And if they didn't mind to let them know that I do intend to stop, but me, I'm a female, I'm by myself, and I would feel much better in a lighted, populated area. And I said, you know, chances are I'm going to have my weapon locked in the glove box if I've been anywhere or whatever. I might would have it laying out on the seat, but chances are it's going to be locked in the glove box. And you know, your license or your registration and your proof of insurance is always in your glove box. And because he was like, well, what are you going to do? Because they could shoot you right there. I said, yeah, they could. I said, but you know, I would do all of these things to try to diffuse the situation first. I said, and next, I would let them know, which is probably going to come across anyway, that I have a concealed carry. And I would let them know that I have it. I could pull out whenever I get my driver's license and show them the card because I keep it in my wallet. And give them the option if they want me to step out of the car, away from the car, they can go in and unlock the glove box, get the registration and stuff out, remove the weapon, you know, whatever makes them feel safest. Because I don't want them to think that I'm going in to try to get something to shoot them.
Yeah, see, the thing here in Texas is, and I don't know what it's like over there, but in Texas, well, for one, if I got pulled over, I keep my paperwork above the visor.
Uh-huh.
It's the kind with a Band-Aid on it, so I don't, you know, have to open the console or glove box or anything. But when I pull my driver's license out, I also hand my concealed carry at the same time. So it's like, and generally they'll just hand it back and say, "Okay, appreciate it," and that's about it. But in Texas, we can carry in our car without a license.
Oh, really?
Yeah, concealed carry in Texas has to do with concealing it on your person.
Right.
But they extended the castle doctrine, stating, you know, your house is your castle, you know, all that crap, where you can be armed where you live and where you work, if it's allowed, and in your car back and forth. Because it's your transport. And also they extended it to the car also because there are people that spend as much time in their car as they do at home because of work.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Lucid, I think I've been in a call with you before from, I don't remember what his channel's name is, but I think I've spoken to you before.
I can't remember because I'm old.
Well, this guy's posting join ISIS links in the chat. You guys think I should join? I don't know. I don't know if I should click it.
I don't know, Ben.
I'm clicking it.
Now you're gonna be on the watch list, man. The cops are gonna come for you.
Yeah, watch it be a FBI link.
Excuse me. I just want to make sure. Controller, are you okay?
And me?
Yeah, you. Okay. I'm just making sure you're okay. For a second there, I thought you were dead. You weren't moving.
No, I am very relaxed right now.
As relaxed as a dead man.
The joining ISIS part's making you relax. You know, we can kill all infidels.
Oh, I don't want to kill any infidels. I don't want to kill.
You're the type who likes to torture them first, huh? I get it now. You guys Muslim?
I am not.
So you're an infidel.
I don't know about this main character.
Lewis said, I don't know about this country girl. She's an infidel.